Think so. Good Wednesday evening, ladies and gentlemen out there. What is going on? Thank you for tuning in for another episode with your boys reporting eligible live. Man, two guys that certainly will make all the Theas in the world probably faint a little bit after they find out who we are. But we got to touch on a couple things, man. We'll recap the Super Bowl, give some thoughts, and, we'll get into everything relevant and what's on task and on tab for our Atlanta Falcons. Of course, as always, I'm your host, Berto, joined by my guy, Bro Talk. And like we mentioned, man, reporting eligible is a duo. But Bro Talk, what is going on, man? How was your week thus far?
Busy, hectic, tiresome,
Hell
but the
yeah.
grind never stops.
You know it.
Never, ever stops. Just
That's
happy to
a
be here,
fact.
man. Talk
Yeah,
some
man.
football, talk some Falcons football.
Mm.
In the news over the weekend for not the right reasons. We'll touch on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week for me nonetheless also, man, but it is what it is, right? You gotta keep pushing forward. That's it. Have positivity and keep pushing forward. But the Super Bowl, man, the game, the pinnacle, the game all 30 other teams inspire to be next year at this very point in time. We got a pretty decent Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks and New England Patriots, of course, didn't go as much of the people in my area wanted it. Oh, brother, it was so cool coming into work on Monday, and it was like, oh man, here comes Berto. I felt like Debo from Friday. Every time I hit the corner, oh, here comes Berto. Because they knew I was gonna be on them. I was gonna be on them because they were talking too much shit all week. Pat's got it. There's Josh McDaniels. He has the experience. Yeah, it didn't show. He tucked his tail and he couldn't adapt. We'll touch on that too. But the Super Bowl, your thoughts, what the performance by the Seattle Seahawks, again, it's yet another blueprint that is laid out for other NFL teams to go and copy. We saw it a few years back with the Philadelphia Eagles and the dismantling of the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And now we see it this past week with Seattle in that dominant defense. And you got to give Mike McDonald his flowers, man. This was a relative unknown DC that made his name and now is even more the prominent, right? The guy. So congratulations to the Seahawks. Congratulations to Mike McDonald's. But your take on what happened?
It's he is literally the Sean McVay of defenses, and when everyone found out, how much time he spends and how he talks about how little he sees his family, which to a normal person, they're like, what the heck? But that's how obsessed he is with the game. And it came through, right? I underestimated the Eagles in the preseason. I didn't think they were going to make as much noise as they did. I didn't think they upgraded enough in certain areas. But they proved me, and I'm sure, many others wrong. And you just saw it as the season went along. Like, that defense was elite. Once Nick Emenwari came out, like, they're in dime a lot because of him, because they view him as a hybrid linebacker as well, because he can play in the box so well. It's just that Kyle Hamilton-esque player that Mike McDonald was missing the year prior in his first season with Seattle. And then kudos to the offense. Clint Kubiak, great game plan. The Patriots defense, middle of the pack defense, but they created havoc in certain times. They created turnovers. They were turnover free. That goes to Sam Darnold's coaching, right? Don't turn the ball over. They established the run game. Kenneth Walker, the rightful Super Bowl MVP, really got his big moment that you'll see in the highlights 20 years from now taken away because of a holding call. Hated that for him. But all in all, you saw it throughout the playoffs and the way the regular season ended, starting on that Thursday night game when they beat the Rams, is like, yeah, this Seahawks defense alone can win you the Super Bowl. And if the offense can play, close to them, they will. And that's exactly what they did. But, a lot of people I look back and they were saying like, oh, this game's going to be a lot closer. I don't know why people say the Patriots don't have a chance because analytics this, analytics that. Analytics are good for certain things, right? They do tell a story, and I'm not saying analytics are bad, but if you just watch, you could see the trouble they were going to run into based off their previous 3 opponents. They survived those 3 playoff games because they've played bad quarterbacks. Their offense scraped by. They did enough, right? That wasn't going to be the case here because the Seahawks, although Sam Darnold, I wouldn't say is a top 10 quarterback, maybe a top 15 quarterback, he's a well-coached quarterback. And well-coached teams, they win the championship, and that's exactly so. You and I both didn't think this was going to be close. I didn't think it was going to be close. I chuckled when people were like, it's going to be closer. Patriots are that good. They were the Cinderella story. And it's a year league, and I'm sure preseason they're going to be division champs. They're going to be the AFC favorites again. I don't think that's the case unless they have a really, really big offseason and upgrade in certain areas. But I think so. I think this was the moment where certain teams get there once and they can't get it again.
Might be a long time before that, and it just proves how coaching matters. And Josh McDaniels had a tall task. I'm trying to calm down Drake May because you can tell he was playing with jitters. Big game, the biggest game of them all, and obviously, the young kid did his best, right? Didn't play Drake May style ball by no means. But how shocked or how surprised are you that McDaniels couldn't simplify that game for him enough? Like, I felt like there was variables within their offense that weren't properly utilized, and I'll hone in on Trayvon Henderson, man. I view Trayvon Henderson. He could have been, and I hate to say and make this parallel, but he could have been your James White in this situation. When the Falcons played the Patriots, the Falcons pretty much eliminated anything that New England wanted to do creatively, whether that would have been a pass to Tom Brady himself, from Edelman to Brady, if it was, whatever the hell that the play calls were. Atlanta had an answer for primarily everything. And then the James White factor kicked in. You have somebody with the same skill set in Trayvon Henderson. I'm shocked that McDaniels, being in a similar game to that, couldn't pivot to that. Is it that, or was it that the Seattle Seahawks defense was just it, man? It was just that good.
I think it was just that good because McDonald, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He didn't shy away. He didn't shy away on bringing pressure in certain situations. They only pressured 16% of the time. So it wasn't like this crazy, like we're, us Falcons, it's 30+%. No, because they can win with 4. And there's such a well-coached team in their zone responsibilities and communication that maybe a dump off does happen and you start doing that. But they're also one of the best tackling teams. So you're trying to get a rookie to break free and potentially make something out of nothing. So it's hard to say that would have worked in this instance because the Falcons defense wasn't the greatest of tacklers that year. And that bit them in the butt. But the Seahawks were so sound all throughout the year. My biggest thing, Drake May ended up getting the jitters towards the end of the game because it was pressure nonstop. You didn't have a good protection plan. You didn't have a good protection plan against the 4, against McDonald talked about it. There is something the offensive line tips off to let you know what they're going to do. And that's what great coaches find and tell their guys so they can be looking at it. The Tony Dungy effect when he was in Tampa Bay.
Yes.
If you haven't read his book on tendencies and, instead of overthinking, reading the keys the players give you, go read his book on that. And that's what McDonald coached and taught his guys, and that's why they were able to make so many plays. Devin Witherspoon was going crazy pressure.
Oh, my God.
Because of those tendencies that McDonald was coaching him on. So McDaniels, Mike McDaniel, Josh McDaniels, plural.
McDaniels,
And then Mike Vrabel, they just didn't have a good, game plan to help their rookie left side. And,
man.
And, the center, we wanted him. What's his name?
Bradbury? Sure, Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah. He's a great run blocker, terrible pass protector. And he was, No, that was Jared Wilson that got walked into Drake
He
May's lap
did,
by Riley
man.
Mills. When you have a rookie
Dude, yeah,
do that,
exactly.
that
That's like
bro,
Ben Garland getting a sack on you.
it really is. And that was his first sack of his career in the Super
Right.
Bowl. That
Coincidentally,
was
right?
crazy. So can they build off of it? The Patriots? Yes, they can. But man, that was a rough game for them offensively. Defensively, I thought they held up pretty well for the majority of the game, right?
Yeah.
They gave up some explosives, but it wasn't any crazy. Christian Gonzalez, I think if they would have won, he would have been the Super Bowl MVP. He was going crazy. That's a Dallas kid through and through, right? The high school down the road, they were cheering him on. So it sucks because I like him so much as a player. I know he wants to stay in New England when his time is up, but go somewhere else, young man. Let us cheer for you a little bit more. You know?
Absolutely. And it's an organization that's really not known for paying their guys. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I know I'm a happy man. I made a couple dollars off of that game. I betted a friend of mine that New England was going to lose by 2 touchdowns. They certainly did. So I'm up in that regard. Before we close on the Super Bowl, your thoughts on the halftime show? Bad Bunny front and center for all Latin America, but really it's the message that he had. Together, we are all Americans. At the end of the day, there's so many people with their arrogance and ignorance that was spewing all over social media. We can't understand. Man, shut up. Listen, it's a vibe. That's all music is. It's a vibe, right? It's an ear for everybody. You don't like it, turn away, right? But if that at least gets you tapping your foot or make you bob your head in a certain way, it's getting to you. You like something. You're liking what you're hearing, right? So overall, I thought his performance was pretty good. And I'm not trying to sound biased, being that we're both from the same island. I mean, I would have loved if that concert was done in Miami, and the Super Bowl was in Miami, because I can only imagine how lit that arena would have been. San Francisco, not known for Hispanic culture like that. Maybe that in that regard.
Well, I was gonna say they're not known for the more Central America. They're more known for the Mexican culture. It's right there, but Boricua is not really on the West Coast. They're more on the East Coast. So I completely agree with you there. I thought his performance was great. I thought the production was great.
Very cinematic.
Very cinematic. A lot of messages about the history of Puerto Rico and how things move. Connecting with the people. I've asked you this before because I don't know, right? I'm not Puerto Rican. I was raised in a Mexican household. Is why they, you guys migrated to New York. And it was cool to see that in his production, because that's what ended up happening. And, the guest stars, Lady Gaga, I was shocked.
Yeah.
She paid homage.
She put a twist.
Yeah, she put a twist on her hit. The couple getting married in real life there, they invited Bad Bunny and he said, "Hey, why don't you get married at the Super Bowl during my concert?" How crazy is that?
That's
and then Ricky Martin, right? I hadn't heard of Ricky Martin in years. Since
brother.
Years and years. But he shows up. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, whoa, I don't know who that is. I had to look it up. But then when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's lit. And there was a certain tweet out there that you talked to me, like all the tias, they were going crazy. They were going crazy. And rightfully so, right? That was a guy that they grew up on. They saw in their early adulthood. So overall, it was fun. And I think 2 Super Bowls in a row with a message, Kendrick Lamar's message of, building America, and then Bad Bunny's message of, we belong, we are America.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It was great. And, seeing the reactions on social media of all the countries being shouted out, the smaller Latin countries that aren't used to being shouted out.
Absolutely.
Right? That was a lot of fun. I personally enjoyed it. I know a lot of people, like you said, if you didn't understand them, you didn't have to. It was just you enjoy music for the beat and the energy it brings you. Like I wanted to get up and start dancing, but it's Super Bowl party, so I was just kind of hey.
Oh my God, you wouldn't catch me.
No, yeah. Hey.
SAP button. Hey. SAP button.
So it was great, man.
That's
it was
awesome,
great.
Man. Overall, it was great, man. So moving on, hopefully next year always got to remain hopeful, but hopefully it is our Atlanta Falcons in the big dance also. But moving on to our Atlanta Falcons, several things that we have to hit on. A lot of news coming about. Obviously, we'll start off with the James Pierce Jr. saga. And brother, I was awake late Saturday night when the text came through, and you were like, "Oh shit." I'm like, "What the hell happened?" James Pierce. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I'm like, oh man. Then I go onto social media and look for myself, and it was not pretty whatsoever, man. Obviously, there is a young lady involved, and while we don't condone that in any way, shape, or form, you know, it's difficult. It's one of your own. It's one of your own, right? As a Falcon fan, James Pierce is one of ours, clearly. And now it's like there's this huge cloud over Atlanta, an organization that's so good at sheltering itself and keeping their public integrity, so to say, staying away from these individuals. And you hate to say these individuals only because the character concerns were a thing in college, right? And so many people went up to bat for him during the process. But man, it was to some of the stories, the validity stood. Kind of a head case, kind of a rah rah guy. We kind of saw that, straight out of Doral, Florida, this past week. But man, what'd you think when you first heard, man, that James Pierce Jr. in the news for the wrong reasons?
Man, it felt like a gut punch. Like I couldn't believe it. It was like one of my kids or my siblings doing that because we all cheered him on. We saw what he could do on the field. And, there was a social media video that blew up talking about his character to a stranger. Mm-hmm. And then everything happens. Like you said, mm-hmm. That is not okay. Like we don't condone any of that. Mm-hmm. And it makes you think, like, first of all, I hope Rakia is okay.
Absolutely.
It's probably one of the more traumatic things, if not the most traumatic thing she has ever been through in her young life. And for James, you just have to sit there and reflect and be like, I went essentially ape shit. Like I went AWOL. And, he's 22. Think about what you did when you were 22. You didn't make the smartest decisions. You probably didn't do what James did.
No.
But John Abraham touched this on the Waterboy show. Mm-hmm. Did he have someone tell him and raise him like, this isn't what we do? Mm-hmm. This isn't what we do. This isn't how we react. This is how we handle situations. And for all, I don't know James. I don't know his upbringing, right? All we can refer to is the pre-draft, like, hey, this guy's a lunatic, maybe for the wrong reasons, right? We like a lunatic on the field, right?
Yeah.
Brian Dawkins was a lunatic on the field, Weapon X.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? But then it's turning it off. And so I just started thinking, like, what did Raheem do to keep him in check? But then it's like, well, maybe it was just because it was in the season. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't really go anywhere, right? You have a game every week. You're at practice every week. Now you're in the off season. You could do whatever you want, right? You're not required to be anywhere. And, hearing the details of him, hearing that Rakia, broke up with him, didn't want to do anything, didn't want anything to do with him anymore, blocked his number. Mm-hmm. I can't speak for myself. I can't speak for Berto. Maybe this has happened to the chat at some point. Mm-hmm. A hard breakup, a long-term relationship where you don't do a James, but you chase, right? You go after that certain individual and say, hey, I want to make this work. I don't want to lose you. Mm-hmm. But to James, he took it to a whole nother level. The running into her car on purpose, blocking her, running from the police. Like this could have all been a minor thing had he not just blacked out and saw red. And so we see this all the time with athletes, right? There's probably going to be a plea deal. Mm-hmm. There's probably going to be some sort of fine he has to pay, probably a restraining order, probably community service, anger management that he has to go see, and like things he has to do, right? And all these will get, from a felony to a misdemeanor. We see it all the time, and especially with athletes, not just NFL, but athletes in general. And we'll probably see him end up on the commissioner's list to start the season, much like Jordan Addison, Rashee Rice did last year to start. and this will probably be a lengthy suspension because it was domestic violence.
Yeah.
Probably minimum 8 games. I would say max 12 is my thought. Now,
Yeah.
the league could totally do something different and make an example out of him. That's when Atlanta has to make decisions, right? I think right now Atlanta is just kind of sitting back and waiting to see how this all plays out before they don't want to jump to conclusions. And that's what they don't want to do, right?
Right.
As bad as it sounds, right? The NFL is a business. They're in the business of winning games, and James Pierce Jr. will help you win games.
Absolutely.
So I know Mark Zeno said this is a culture like altering move. Like this is Matt Ryan's first like big thing. Ian Cunningham, yeah, you could
It's
cut him
crazy.
loose.
I feel bad for them.
You could cut him loose and say, "You're done. We're not dealing with it. You made your choice. This." But everyone, I believe, deserves a second chance, right? Now, there are certain people that don't, in my opinion. But in a situation like this, I believe a second chance is warranted. Show me that you can be a better man. Show me growth, and we can work through this together. But if you can't do that, I'm sorry, young man. This is a business. The Atlanta Falcons have an image to uphold, and you're not aligning with that.
Exactly, man. Jay Coop asked the question. Let me ask you, brothers, how do y'all truly feel even if he gets in no trouble? Do you still want him here? I mean, I don't think there's no such thing as no trouble. He's going to get something.
He's going to get something.
The laundry, it's a laundry list of charges and shit that he did, evading police officers, using his car as a weapon. These are serious charges, and I don't know all the logistics or all the parameters when it comes to law in certain counties, states, countries, you name it. But from what I know, Florida is pretty strict and what their laws are.
Well, especially if you hit a police officer, which he did, and I think it was unintentional because he wanted to run away, but you still don't do that.
Yes. And to the second part, do y'all still want him here? You know, that's a touchy one.
It's a slippery slope when you ask a question like that.
Yeah.
My question or rebuttal to you is, okay, do you want him to help this team win football games? And I think 9 out of 10 Falcon fans would say yes.
Yeah.
Because yes, we do want him to help us win games because he can do that. Now, there are some people that would say, I don't care about winning, get him out of the league. And that's, hey, I respect you for that.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer in this situation because it's kind of like how you as an individual cope with matters like this, right? So if you decide to, hey, maybe he should be, then you're a forgiving person that ultimately sees life in a different perspective than the person that says, no, fuck that, get him out of here. And that's okay too. So it's just overall, it's touchy, man.
It's yeah.
It's the weight on his plate.
It's it's a touchy situation because no matter how you answer, you're going to be wrong in the other person's eyes. That's the differences in opinions. But the fact of the matter is domestic violence is not okay. We do not condone that. James Pierce Jr. needs to face the consequences of his actions, whatever those consequences may be.
Come on.
And
too soon.
And then move on, right? Work through it. It's not just moving on. You can't move on from something so quickly. You have to work through it, and you have to be prepared. The media is going to drill you. The social media is going to drill you.
100%.
Rakia Jackson fans are going to drill you. Like that just comes with the decisions that you made as a young man to do this. Now, ultimately, this will be the last thing I say on it. Ultimately, if you don't want to help yourself, if you still want to continue to do what you did, then hey, it's time to move on.
Yeah,
right? As a 22-year-old man, you have your whole life ahead of you. If you're given a second opportunity,
you better
don't throw it away.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Still young, gifted, and talented. Make the most of your second chance if you're allowed a second chance in this league. And if it's with the Falcons, bro, it's It's all on him. It's all on him moving forward. And actually we're gonna definitely move on from this one. And it kind of ties a little bit back into this, but a move like this where we don't see the 2026 season with James Pierce Jr. How does this right now, February 11th, how does this start altering plans for the Falcons going into the offseason? Because this is a team, obviously, where Terry Fontenot worked his ass off to solidify that, that department, the edge group, and rightfully so, he did. Obviously, the Falcons finishing at an all-time high with sacks in 57 or 58 this past year. James Pierce Jr., Jalen Walker having massively a lot to do with that. But now you take away your prized possessions of a first-round pick in James Pierce. What are you seeking now? You don't have a first rounder. Are you exhausting resources or more so again into that position, or are you just going to flight with the guys that you have on the roster now?
No, you're not gonna. I mean, you're gonna fly with who you have, but you got to remember Leonard Floyd, Arnold Levichetti,
Mhm.
both
Yep.
free agents. You have
Mhm.
Braylon Trice coming off another ACL tear. Jalen
Mhm.
Walker going into year 2. So I don't think we can go into the season with who we just have. You have to attack it in some form or fashion, even if it's a 1-year rental.
Mhm.
Um, with an edge guy, someone that could be a starter. I'm not talking about a
Yes.
rotation guy, a starter. So maybe the money you were going to spend on potentially upgrading your center with Tyler Linderbaum has to
Eh.
go to an edge rusher, right? And there are a couple out there: Boye Mafe, Jalen Phillips.
Mhm.
You don't like Boye?
Ah, I got to watch more. It just doesn't
So
pop for me
So
enough.
the reason I say this, and
Yep.
Damsky pointed this out, is
Yep.
Ulbrich essentially admitted that he was running Raheem's scheme defense
Mhm.
last year. So this was still Raheem's philosophy. So now
Mhm.
with Raheem out of the picture, does Ulbrich retain that, or does he go back to the defense he was running in with the New York Jets? So then your
Ah.
philosophy changes on the players that you want in your edge room, right? So then someone like Boye, you have bigger edge guys that are more athletic, like a Jalen Walker and a Boye Mafe. I
Right. I
I
got
would
you.
like personally, if it were my choice, it's Jalen Phillips. Give him
Yes.
15 to 20 million over across
Yep.
2 years, or 1 year 15 million. And then if you strike gold in the draft, great. If not, then you can attack draft next year. Edge rusher to me isn't a strong class outside of the top 3 or 4 guys.
Mhm.
So it's not like we're missing a guy. Maybe you draft a day 3 guy that you acquire. You just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's through free agency. I think some money is spent there to bring in
Mhm.
someone that can be a starter now. Now, Ulbrich may bring back or clamor for Leonard Floyd to come back. Hey, I really like what Leonard did for us. I'd like for him to return, and he comes on a cheaper deal. We'll just
Could
have to
be.
see. But I think free agency is the is the move for us this coming off season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a big challenge for Ian and Matt, both of whom, and even Kevin Stefanski, who the aligned vision is building through the trenches, right? And there are some names out there that through free agency you can up your game a little bit. But if you can, because I'm having technical difficulties with this stupid MacBook, uh, if you could bring up the depth chart for the Falcons, and we'll go through that right quick.
I got you.
Yep.
ESPNs. Let's do that one.
Yeah, why not? ESPN is trusted. I see a lot of people in the chat going to the name Trey Hendrickson, but I'll ask you this: has the luster that Trey Hendrickson once was, has that diminished a bit? And I know that in this league is what have you done for me now lately? This guy obviously coming off back-to-back 17 plus sack seasons, and now last year dealing with a core muscle injury that only relegated him to a few amount of games and only 4 sacks. Would that be a guy that could interest you bringing in here to Atlanta?
Sorry, I'm focusing on my screen. Who's the
No,
guy
you're
that you
good.
said to bring
Trey
in?
Trey Trey Hendrickson
I think the honeymoon phase with him is over for me.
is over. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think so. I think I want to get younger.
Yep.
He's going to ask for a pretty penny,
Mhm.
and I'd rather spend it on some. Jalen Phillips is only 26.
26. Yep, 26.
I'd rather spend the money there versus a guy that's 32, 33?
31.
31.
Yeah.
Okay, so not as
Yep.
high. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would go the younger. Yeah, now granted, Jalen Phillips has the serious injury he's coming off of now. I think it's gonna be 2 years, but
Mm-hmm.
last year he looked
He's
great.
fine. He looked
He looked
great.
great.
Exactly. Yep.
So all right, depth chart. What do you got for me?
Depth chart. We got to always start on the offensive side, and I know that a lot of it will be soured right away. Right when we look at the center position and Ryan Uziel, who did an admirable job in his first full year as Falcon center. Obviously, if you wanna get the best bang for your buck, Tyler Lindenbaum was probably the top free agent on the market that can solidify an entire offensive line. You talk about a center that can anchor, that can protect, that can run block. Tyler Lindenbaum was it for him. Sure, the competition would have been teams with higher salary caps. Atlanta would have probably had to pony up a good bit of their resources, and now it's a little bit less because finding out starting with 27 million, you lose 10 because you're going to cut Kirk Cousins. So that's a boo-boo right there. So you're only starting with 17 now. So
I'm going to fact check you there.
Fact check it because that's the last week per over the cap. And you gave the numbers that weren't up to date. We were at 27. And now with Kirk Cousins pending release, it's dropped down to 17.
Hold on. So right now we're at 26. According to over the cap, right now we're at 26.4.
Yep.
Okay.
And cutting Kirk Cousins.
That's
from what I saw.
That's pre-June 1st. They're going to cut him post-June 1st.
Post June 1st. Okay.
Post-June 1st, you save $2.1 million. So you still save some money.
You still save some money,
but it's not a lot of money, and you don't get it until after June 1st. But you avoid losing money, and you avoid paying that guaranteed money in 2027.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely, we're not in the business of losing money right now, especially with certain things stacked up against us. Really, there's nothing to debate here. QB1, Michael Penix Jr. The only question is, who do we bring in? What free agents are out there? I mean, the more the one that is like, do we go to him? How funny is it? Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco being in the same organization.
I mean, it would be funny because they've been tied their entire careers, but
basically,
it seems it's going that way. It really does. The way they're talking about him, the way he's talking about the organization.
Mm-hmm.
If Mike's not ready week 1, why not? Right? He knows what Stefanski wants to do.
But at this point, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you up, but at that point, you don't want to run it back with Kurt.
I mean, if he's willing to come back, I'm still cutting him. I'm not guaranteeing 70 or 68 million in 2027. Absolutely not. That's not good business. But if I cut him, then I say, Kirk, I want to bring you back, but you got to take a vet min. You got to take a vet minimum, right? We're cutting you to avoid your guaranteed money, but Mike's not ready. You'll be the starter. And then he's going on, will I be the starter the remaining of the year? Hey, I can't promise you that. And if Kirk doesn't want to do that, because sometimes even though he's a nice guy, sometimes his ego gets in the way, then you don't. I have thought that was going to be the route where they cut him and re-sign him. But ultimately, he has to agree to it, right? When you do a contract, both parties have to agree.
Yeah. No, you got a great point there. Moving down, obviously, Bijan Robinson, RB1. RB2 is in question. Tyler Algier, we don't know what the status on him is going to be. I see we fill that void if he does walk through the draft. I don't know if free agency offers anything, maybe a J.K. Dobbins, but
we already got RB2 on Tyler's replacement if he doesn't resign.
Carlos Washington, Nathan Carter. Nate Carter. Okay.
I like him as a serviceable brother. Bijan is going to be on the field a lot.
Oh my God.
A lot.
Yep.
And, if Nate Carter comes in to give him a breather, that's the guy. Because if Tyler leaves, it's because he doesn't want to be the guy that gives Bijan a breather. He wants to be the guy that totes the rock.
Yep.
And to be the GM role build out of the team. They want us to do I think they want us to do the template.
Yeah, the template. Yeah.
Which we could
I got to do mine.
Yeah, there you go.
I got to do mine.
So we talked about this last week. We both think Tyler's going to walk.
Yep.
Right. Even if it's taking a cheaper deal, but it guarantees him being the guy.
That guy. Exactly.
So I think we got
Yeah.
I don't think we utilize our 5 picks on a running back unless Ian acquires a whole boatload, and it's like, okay, let's add some depth here. Let's see if we can find our backup or someone to
Mhm.
compete for the backup spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but he also has to look at the roster. Is this roster okay with just going into this year's draft with just 5 picks? He might think otherwise. And from the sounds of it, I think he's probably interested in making a trade down versus up that we're accustomed to seeing with Terry, right? Go get your
Mhm.
guy. I don't know. I think it's not the same it's not the same approach that Ian is going to take in his first year. I think he's going to try to build his roster up the right way. And I like that. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so moving on, wide receiver room. This is a room that we all expect a overhaul
Yeah,
of
complete overhaul.
a complete overhaul. Obviously, Draco, clear cut number one, but it gets murky once you start talking Darnell Mooney. Once you start getting into the Dylan Drummonds and the Caseys and even the Cordero Hodges, right? David Sills is another name who filled in pretty decent. In Draco's absence. What do you see? Names that might intrigue you in free agency? I know by the thumbnail, that's one of the guys I was picking. Has a very clear parallel with Darnell Mooney. I think it's just he's a little bit more available, right? And Darnell wasn't. I think the stats within this offense can grow, especially with Stefanski and Tommy Reese. So Wan'Dale Robinson is an attractive piece could be for this offense. Do you have any other names in mind?
Just depends if they get signed to exclusive rights. I look at guys that, one guy that a lot of fans wanted here, Malachi Corley, last year on the Browns.
Oh, brother, if I may, like right quick.
Go ahead, go on a rant.
No, I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm not. He was my first Bleacher Report assignment.
Okay.
Was break down SMU at the time, wide receiver Malachi Corley. And looking at the tape and how he was utilized, I'm like, okay, he fits into what the NFL was utilizing wide receivers as, those short, stouter wide receivers a la what Deebo Samuel was. I was like, this is potentially your next Deebo Samuel right here. I loved Malachi Corley coming out of SMU, man. It was a freaking shame that we didn't get him. I think he went as high as the second round.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn it. But he was my guy, man. And it's cool to think that we may be able to do some business right in this offseason.
So it all depends because there is a deadline on exclusive right free agents that they have to be signed by a certain date. I don't know that date off the top of my head, but if he's not, then he's a true free agent and he can sign somewhere else. For those of you that don't know, an exclusive right free agent means they can only at that point exclusively sign with the team they were on last year.
Oh, it's kind of like the same situation with Ryan Neal then. So it's got to be sometime in June.
Yes. So you tender,
and
then you decide whether or not you sign him. Now, if the Browns want to be jerks, they could offer him a contract and then he either takes it or he retires, is the way I understood it. But if he's if he's becomes truly free, then Malachi Corley is someone that could be on the cheaper end, that could add you that gadget guy, also give you return ability, kickoff and punt. I expect Darnell Mooney to be gone. You got to replace him. David Sills is a restricted free agent. Are you going to re-sign him? What's that going to cost and what that's going to look like? I personally think you bring him back. I think he did enough to show you that he's worth bringing back on a cheap restricted free agent signing. But if you want to swing big, I think it's Wan'Dale Robinson, and he earned himself some money last year. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants re-sign him, but he did. He's not like top 10 money, but he's not going to be cheap.
No, he's not going to be cheap.
So that would be my number one. Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot. Let Drake play in the slot as well, together with another receiver that you draft on the outside. I think wide receiver could be 1 or 2 picks for us this year. Add some younger depth, like a Dion, or even if we don't sign Wan'Dale, Dion Burks is another guy out of OU that I've come to like. And then your guy, what's his name? Ted Hurst.
Ted Hurst out of Georgia State, man. Yeah.
He could play the X, the outside,
That's all he can play, though, on the outside. And that's okay. That's
That
totally
allows
fine.
Drake to be that big slot, and then you get another
Exactly.
small guy inside. Yeah, man, why not?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I see Alex Pierce, Rod. I don't know. I don't think Atlanta just exhausts that much revenue into the
Hey,
wide receiver spot in that
he's
capacity,
a
man.
he's a Kansas City Chief, brother.
Ew.
He's a Kansas City Chief, brother.
We don't want to build them back up.
They need a deep threat so badly, and he is just that.
Got it. Got it. Got it. All right. So, okay, tight end Kyle Pitts. Obviously, it's franchise tag or walk at this point for me.
No, you sign him to an extension.
You sign him to an extension.
That's me.
Okay.
You sign him to an
Yeah,
extension,
that's fine.
and you either draft another one or you sign a cheaper veteran, because right now it would be only Kyle Pitts and Charlie Warner.
Yeah, and a lot of clamor and talk out there is David Njoku, 30 years old, knows Stefanski's offense. But like I've mentioned before, man, not every former player and former coach follow one another. So, at certain points you cut ties with that. Like we all learned firsthand. I think it was last year when McDonald took over Seattle and everybody was like, "Oh, Patrick Queen, perfect fit." Yeah, it wasn't the
Yeah, no,
case.
I was one of those guys.
Yeah, it wasn't the case, right? So it's like, damn, I think it's very well the same thing going on here. I don't think Njoku comes to Atlanta. I think if Atlanta is gonna search out, a lot of people don't like the name because he fell off a cliff, but Isaiah Likely is maybe a target. I get it. But yeah, he put up a lot of touchdowns in 2 years, 11 touchdowns in 23 and 24. He kind of fell off last year. I don't know. Can he bounce back being the number one tight end? I don't know. You can
He's
only speculate.
he's just Kyle Pitts, just not as good.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, obviously the draft. I don't know. I don't think Atlanta, invest through the draft on a tight end. I think if Atlanta's going to invest on secondary, probably cornerbacks, solidify that maybe with some depth, maybe a linebacker, definitely offense and defense after that.
I have one guy that I really want. That's a tight end, and it's the Indiana tight end, Riley
Oh,
Nowodowski.
yeah.
I like him kind of, and I would see him utilized like Harold Fannin was last year, more of a fullback,
Fullback.
H-back type player that can block, but also has great hands and has great catch, run after the catch, that yak ability. So he's someone, if he can fall into day 3, yeah, go get him.
Yeah, I got you. Trainer Ruffles says, I've heard a lot of people say move Pitts to wide receiver, but what does that actually mean? Do they literally just designate him as a wide receiver and play him as such or pay him as such? I mean, the move for Kyle Pitts to be a wide receiver started 2 years ago with Zach Robinson. He was learning both offense. I mean, both sides, tight end and wide receiver. I don't know if he's ready to make that full wide receiver leap yet.
I mean,
he's a tight end by trade. That's it. He just moves like a wide receiver.
He moves like a wide receiver going one direction. When it comes to different directions, no. He moves like a tight end with his route running. Just I wish maybe they'll do it this year if he resigns a seam artist. If you haven't watched it, watch Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys and what he runs. To me, that's how Kyle Pitts would be best utilized. And he's a better athlete, better hands, better overall.
Yeah. Yep. Better overall. All right. The offensive line. Are you getting froggy and you want to make a jump at Matthews or Bergeron?
I'm not. I think you're running. I think if Tyler Linderbaum is not in your plans anymore because you have to shift, I think you draft a replacement for Ryan Nuzeel. You got one more year on his deal. It's still cheap.
Very.
You keep the same offensive line for one more year, and you invest in the trenches. I think McGarry is going to be the guy. If you do anything, you restructure his deal, add a void year to spread out the money over 3 years. And then to me, I think you cut Storm Norton. I think you cut him. You save the money that you paid him. Yeah. Then you go draft a guy. That's fine. You already drafted a guy last year, Jack Nelson, who's going both ways. You traded for Mike Jarrell, right?
Yep.
Who can go to both sides. So
he could.
2 young offensive tackles. Coach him up. You got Bill Callahan.
You got Bill Callahan. Great point. Absolutely.
So to me,
Enough said.
I think Storm Norton is a cap casualty, and then we run it with Caleb McGarry. And no, Elijah Wilkinson
Oh
is
God,
not
please
is not
no, man.
re-signing. He's a free
No.
agent, and
Thank you. Goodbye.
his career ended last year because I don't think anyone re-signs that man.
Oh man. All right. Flipping to the defense.
Ooh,
This is where it gets fun, man. This is where it gets fun. Obviously, 3-4 alignment, as it says, but that's not what Raheem ran, obviously. Zach Harrison, we had the luxury of watching him play and kind of watch him break out and flourish. He already had, I think, 4.5 sacks by the time he was deemed out for the year. So I can only imagine what those sack numbers would have been like if he had played an entire year. He might have been a double-digit sack guy, along with James Pierce Jr. But as we look more, David Onyemata, he's a free agent. We don't know what's going to happen. Like we mentioned last week, he can go. He can go. But there are names that can fill that void ASAP, quick, fast, and in a hurry. You got a name. I have a name. I'll go with you. Who do you want to replace David Onyema? Who do you see the Falcons being interested in?
John Franklin Myers of the Broncos, Jeff Ulbricht's old defensive tackle in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the connection was going to be strong already.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the connection got even stronger when Ulbricht made the tie, like, oh, yeah, we ran Raheem's stuff. Now it's like, okay, are you running your defensive front alignment? Are you going more under fronts?
Mm-hmm.
Franklin, what's it? I just brain farted. Franklin Myers?
Yep, John Franklin Myers.
I just brain farted. Franklin Myers knows what Ulbricht expects. He plays angry. He's a younger version of David Onyemata, can give you that production. And it really looks like he'll hit the market because the Broncos just extended Zach Allen. They just extended Nick Bonito. And then they invested more in the defensive front to replace Franklin Myers when he does hit. I think that's a guy that you sign, and then don't be surprised if the first pick is interior defensive lineman. The last two Super Bowl champions had two of the best interior defensive linemen: Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, Jalen Carter, what's his name? Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis.
You had Milton Williams as well, who was in the Super Bowl just last Sunday. So you invest in that interior, you're going to be in a good spot. And, we already have the guys, like you mentioned, Zach, who can play big edge, kick into a 3 or 1 technique. Brandon Dorless, Rook or Oro. What you
got? No, just keep going. But you know where I'm going to go with this. If you know me, you know where I'm going with this, brother.
Do I know you?
Because these defensive tackle fucking talks would have been nullified had we just went one route. And one route only.
All right. Oh, God.
Oh, don't God him. He has nothing to do with this. Our Lord and Savior must be left out of this. It is you and I, mano a mano.
Please give me patience for what Berto is about to do.
Deion Walker could have
oh my God, you said his name.
Solved a lot of the woes. And Mr. Atlanta to a bigger nose tackle, a 6'7", 350-plus pound guy that moved like a dancing bear.
You know who you can blame? You know who you can blame? Raheem Morris.
Raheem Morris, yeah, of course.
It's his philosophy, right?
Yeah, absolutely it is. It is.
Look. We got a ball knower here.
Yeah,
here. Okay.
Lee Hunter, baby, come on down. Absolutely.
That's Damsky's crush right now. He's DM'd me so much about him.
Oh man,
he loves Lee Hunter. I think everyone does. That's
why I say,
not to
like about him?
Don't be surprised. He asked me today. He's like, "Is this someone that people will overthink?" And I think so, because he's only 6 foot, but he's got longer arms, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of like that Puna Ford type build. Shorter, longer arms, stout, strong, can anchor in. So I think people could overthink it. But then if you put on the tape, if you look at his production, you're just like, there's no one that can stop him. Like, literally, he's taking on 2-3 guys, and he's getting to the football either at the line of scrimmage or for a tackle for a loss, and then he gets his occasional sack here and there. Like, he's a 2 to 3 sack defensive tackle, nose tackle, but he's more of like a 15 to 20 TFL guy for the entire season. Hey, if we take him in with our pick, oh my God.
I'm going to piss you off, and I'm
Yeah.
not doing it purposefully.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
you
doing
do
it.
that a lot. You know,
No,
you did it
no.
purposely a little. Okay,
I
tell me.
didn't. So,
Tell
all
me.
right.
Tell me.
So, I love Lee Hunter. And I think I messaged you on the side. I'm like, man, this fucking Lee Hunter kid, man, he's something. He's something special. So, same build, same position, shot up draft boards and has fallen flat. And I'm talking out of Tamiwa, out of Barre, out of the Indianapolis Colts. When he was coming out of when he was coming out of Northwestern, he showed the same flashes, the same, just same intent, violent intent Lee Hunter does when drawing the double teams, or even when he had the one-on-one, you were fucking dead to rights by his metric. That's the only thing that scares me. That's the only thing. But I think the big factor here is coaching matters, and Nate Ollie is here. And I think Nate Ollie can really get this man going in the right direction, coach him up in whichever way. And I say Nate Ollie, and I'll give you a name. I like Tim Settle out of the Houston Texans. A dark horse for me, even though he's a little bit up there in age, but Sheldon Rankins also, who played very well for Jeff Ulbrich for the New York Jets as well. Could it be a combination signing? Could it be a package deal? Could they bring them both in for depth purposes? You got to remember, like, Kale London is also a free agent. And what's his market value going to be? Are the Falcons going to do business with him? Contavious Street, another guy that is also a free agent. So these are maybe small questions that might not seem like they're valid questions right now. But when you look at it and you start chipping away at that cap money, they might make the most sense at that present time.
I think, to me, I'm not mad at you. Like, you didn't make me mad. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that. But to me, Lee Hunter, you know what he screams?
Yep.
He screams 12 to 14-year vet that does the dirty work, takes on 2 to 3 guys, frees up his teammates, and he doesn't complain one bit.
Pat Williams of the Minnesota Vikings, baby.
That's the comp he's been getting everywhere. And that's exactly what he would do. He would do the dirty work in the run game. And if he's on a passing down, guess what? It's going to take 2 guys to take him down. Because if you leave him one-on-one, he's just going to overpower who's guarding him. And that just leaves room for the guys like Rook, Zach Harrison, Brandon Dorless, Jalen Walker, you name it, whoever else is on the other side of the edge, freed. And that's just so much impact. I think this is a good interior defensive line class, even if it's not Lee Hunter. I think one of the Falcons' picks will be interior defensive line.
Darrell Jackson is another name out of Florida State. Demands is he's on that one, man.
Big Citrus out of Iowa State was a big name coming out.
Citrus
I haven't watched his tape yet, but I know he's that bigger, stout nose tackle. So there's some guys out there. I'm just now getting into film review, so I haven't put together my rankings, but I will before the draft.
Gotcha. All right, moving down. Right, some other free agents that we can definitely see in the back half of our defense, and we stop real quick at the linebacker spot. Obviously, Caden Ellis, the Swiss Army knife that he's been since 2023 here with the Falcons, set to be a free agent, 30 years of age. Does he command? Is he going to command some money? I think so. Are the Falcons willing to make him top priority? Right. We don't know. But what are some names that could be potentially brought in? I know you're high on a guy. Quay Walker has grown on you.
Quay Walker has grown on me. Really, that's the guy I'm setting my sights on. I haven't done a whole lot of research elsewhere. I think Quay Walker is very affordable in the market right now. He's not like this super, he's not like Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen type money. And so it wouldn't, break our backs. Now, if Caden Ellis is willing to come in cheap because he's older, hey, bring him back, right?
Sure.
He's a voice. He's a leader on that defense. He's a Swiss Army knife. But you got to think about it. Damsky and I were talking about it. You have 2 6'4" linebackers roaming the middle of the field. You have to have a quarterback that is able to layer throws over them. And that does not exist in the NFL a whole lot. There are not a lot of good layer throwers in the league. And that just you saw Divine Diablo create so much problems because of that in the middle. You add a Quay Walker to the equation, brother, like that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, another avatar, Devin Lloyd, as another guy.
That's okay.
I
Yes, yes.
he's another one. I remember during the what was it? Was it during the trade, the trade deadline? I think I had mentioned it to you. I'm like, dude, I'm hearing Devin Lloyd's name a lot, and he might be available. That would be great. That would be great. Now you want to talk about avatars? Those guys. I think Devin Lloyd is like 6'5" and he plays middle linebacker. But a guy with range, just like Divine Diablo. And again, to you and Damsky's point, imagine being a quarterback trying to layer throws over these two pillars right there. Not easy. That's exactly what you're in the game for, to make it difficult for the opposing QB. So those are two great names, right? One does things a little bit better than the other. I would argue that Devin Lloyd, I think, is better in pass coverage than Quay Walker. And another one might be,
Then
yep,
you flip it. Quay
and then you
Walker's
flip it.
better in the run versus
Yes,
Devin
then
Lloyd.
Devin Lloyd. So it's like, all right, whatever. What do you want to do, right? It's up to you as a defensive coordinator. How do you see this? How can you make these guys work under your scheme? As we move into the into edge, obviously the black eye or the whatever you want to call it, man. James Spears. We don't know what the availability is, so we'll leave that where it's at for right now. But Arnold Ebiketie set to leave. Um, what would I mean? Is there anything that might pique your interest bringing in possibly? Because you got to keep a good depth, good rotation. So him, Leonard Floyd, obviously are out of here. Are we banking on Braylon Trice to finally be healthy for us in his third year coming out of Washington? We don't know. Is there a name out there that might, say, he's worth worth bringing in?
I mean, we touched on it a little bit early in the show. Jalen
Yep.
Phillips. He's my number one guy right now, even if it's for a 1-year rental. He's an immediate starter, right? Like you said, we got this cloud over our heads. We don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's where I think the focus shifts. But someone like AJ Epinesa, who's a floor riser, he's not a double-digit sack guy, but he's not a 3-sack guy. He's more of that 6 to 7 sack guy, plays the run really well, is able to come in and be serviceable. You need guys like that. I've really liked how he's developed during his time through the league. And then you can go out and get some, cheaper guys that can, that can be rotational pieces. Khalid Kareem, bring him back. I think he's a great depth piece. Like you said, Braylon Trice, we're not sure. So I think Edge is another guy, another selection that we make in this year's draft, whether that's early on or later. It could be another Elijah Ponder who landed in New England. You liked him, and he was a late day 3 guy, and he was very productive for the Patriots. So you could see that happening as well. So
yeah, I still like right out of Green Bay, Kingsley Egenbare. I still like his game, man. Out of South, he was good in South Carolina. We thought he could do more in the NFL. 4 years, only 11 sacks. Yeah, okay, that's probably for an edge guy. That's probably not the type of numbers you want to see. You want to see a little bit more. And then the whole Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons duo thing happens, and he just gets buried. He's set to become a free agent. Could he follow Jeff Hafley down to Miami? There's a possibility. But, if Atlanta can guarantee him some snaps where he's like, yeah, I might want to come over here. The grass might be a little greener over here. Why not? I think he's good against the run. I think he sets the edge very well, and he offers you that pass rush ability too.
One guy I forgot to say is like, what if we get a guy from the New York Jets? Will McDonald. Jermaine Johnson, who's just like, he's built like Jalen Walker.
Boye Mafe reminds me of Will McDonald. When you started talking about the body type and the bigger edges, that's when you got me thinking, oh, that's why he's saying Boye Mafe. Okay, I respect that. That's cool.
So,
but yeah,
you never know. Like, hey, could we get you, some future capital for a Will McDonald who's creeping up on a contract year? So, and if he walks and signs a lucrative deal, hey, we'll take that comp pick. That's how you start establishing those things. Because I really do think Ian Cunningham isn't just looking into next year or this coming year. He's already looking 2-3 years down the line. And like, okay, yes, we need to build this year, but I need to make sure this team is playable 2 or 3 years down the line. And I think that's where we'll see the biggest difference between him and Terry is Terry mortgaged a lot, like, because, hey, we need to win now. And so some of the moves were, not received well.
Yeah.
Right. And the one time he did plan for the future, he still put his eggs in one basket, signing a quarterback, drafting a quarterback, and then, it ultimately resulted in him being let go. So, it's gonna be really interesting.
Secondary, and there were some changes in the secondary confirmed. Yeah, I was pumped to see that when it was confirmed by the Falcon player on your behalf. That was pretty dope. Jerry Gray, obviously, we don't think he's back with the team. The Falcons did make some coaching changes throughout the week, and so Jerry Gray, I don't think is there. So it's going to be Justin Hood and Ricky Manning Jr., the former Carolina Panther defensive back. Man,
they officially give him the title of nickel coach, which we didn't know.
Nobody knew.
Nobody knew. But then, like you said, D. Alford commented and said Jerry Gray was the nickel coach, which makes sense if that's where Ulbrich shifted him to, and why you saw both nickels, Bowman and D. Alford,
play so good, man.
Play really well.
My God. It's awesome to see, but we'll round out here with the secondary, which sees, obviously Jesse Bates, the third, who's not going anywhere. Xavier Watts. Xavier Watts, Mike Hughes, and obviously D. Alford, who will all, clamoring for him to come back. And I think he will be back in a Falcons uniform next year. So cornerback 2, names that are out there that you might want to bring in as a free agent.
Hold on. We already have cornerback 2 on the roster.
Yeah, Hawk Mamba. I get it. Who's
Hawk Mamba?
Kobe Bryant?
No. Put some respect on Mike Hughes' name. He gets dragged through the sand more than he should.
Okay.
More than he should. Why?
Okay.
They don't want to target AJ. So they target him a lot. Corner, I have always said, besides the quarterback position, is the hardest position to play in the NFL because you're reactionary to what the guy in front of you is doing. Okay. And then you're depending on someone behind you to be there to help you. And if they mess up, you're left on an island and you take all the blame. So I think Mike Hughes, and I think he's great in run support. He signed a 3-year deal. I think he's great. He just suffered an injury. He wasn't there. I think Kobe Bryant is his backup. I think Kobe Bryant continues to develop. You have D. Alford who can back up AJ Terrell, but also start at the nickel position. Clark Phillips is on the last year of his deal. Let him play that out, and then you go attack that next year when you have more draft capital. If you're going to bring anyone in, it's got to be on a cheaper deal. Bring me someone like Asante Samuel Jr. or draft a guy. Takario Davis, drafting
Takario Davis. Okay.
The kid out of Arkansas. What's his name? Oh, I forgot his name. I got to make my corner list.
Yeah.
If you want to bring in that Pons kid out of Indiana to play a nickel while Billy Bowman is recovering, don't be surprised if we if we do draft a guy that's just a depth piece or someone that gets cut and then we sign him, right? So we already have our 2 starting corners. It's more about the depth. Who do we have for depth?
So Raheem's scheme fit Mike Hughes. You think it's the same with Jeff Ulbrich's scheme? And if you say yes, is it because he ran it with the Jets and DJ Reed had success? Not comparing the 2 players, just the scheme that's on hand.
So I've heard of what's his name, Match Quarters, talk about our corners. AJ Terrell's more of the man-to-man guy. Mike Hughes is more of the zone guy. But they can play both. It's just they're stronger in each other. The cool thing about Ulbrich is even though he runs a lot of man-to-man with blitz packages, he does have zone cover match responsibilities. So it is a zone, but then you have man responsibilities. And if you look at
Mhm.
Reek Woolen, who's going to be a free agent. He's not the best, but you put him in the right situation, he looks pretty darn good.
Mhm.
So I think Mike Hughes can have success again. Now, if I have egg on my face, I have egg on my face at the end of the year, and then we move on. But I think he's done enough under the coaching of Jeff Ulbrich and Justin Hood, and then you continue to build off of that.
I'm with a lot of people like in the chat now. I think Greg Newsome is a name you have to keep an eye on. Right?
Okay, so that name did slip me. I would like him if he got brought in.
Mm-hmm. I think he offers, and the word in Atlanta is a lot of the time is versatility. What can you do? He's played in and out. He's played out really well, same as he's played in really well too. Pause. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, but nonetheless, man, we're coming up on an important date, February 18th, which is next Thursday. That's the deadline for, franchising, and teams can start franchising. And then 2 weeks after that, 3 weeks after that, free agency starts, man. So it's going to be fun.
It's going to go by fast. And so
it is.
Don't worry, your boys are reporting eligible. We're going to be doing our research.
Absolutely.
This is kind of scratching the surface. We'll have more information as it comes along. But this offseason, we I think the draft will come up on us pretty quick, and then that's when the lull will start to happen. It's like, oh, when is football going to come back?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, man. We all can't wait. We all can't wait for sure, man. A lot of good things going to happen in Atlanta this year, man. For sure, man. But that's going to do it for this evening, man. We definitely appreciate everybody coming through. But I'll let you go. Tell them where they can find you, Bro Talk.
As always, short form content at Dirty Bird Central on TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, wherever you get your short form content. Broke down a couple things from the Super Bowl. Now we're going to move on into more of the draft prospects. Also going to try and break down. It's something that people ask for, is breaking down other teams' offseason needs and moves, and that way you maybe get some perspective of what other teams are doing. Going to start doing that leading up into the draft and then free agency, but also long form content at Dirty Bird Central. I've got some ideas I want to roll out to you guys. I'll try and be a little bit more consistent once a week, maybe doing on the draft prospects. So if you like long form content, at Dirty Bird Central. And as always, at BK2, tweeting daily, giving my opinions. Even if I'm busy, don't worry, I'm checking Twitter and I'll give you my thoughts. Even if you like it, if you like them or don't, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely, man. And for Bro Talk, I'm your boy Berto, host of 95 North Falcons Talk Show and the other half of Reporting Eligible. You can find me here exclusively every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. But you can also catch me all week on Bleacher Report as well, giving you short form content on all topics related and heavy within the Atlanta Falcons circa. So until then, we will see you next Wednesday night at 9 for Reporting Eligible. But this Sunday, 8 p.m., you can find us on One Time for the Fan with Jack Spade and T. Will and Carrie, and the whole One Time family will be joining them for some good old Falcons talk. Bro Talk will bring his Moto eyebrows. Oh, man. But until then, enjoy your Valentine's, everybody. Enjoy your Valentine's.
Don't forget to buy the flowers.
Don't forget to buy the flowers. I didn't.
Yeah, I already bought
already
mine.
high red. Jesus, man. But until then, man, we appreciate everybody that came through, man. Peace.